by Sean McCleary, contributing writer. In 5D.com, my work in evolutionary cosmology differs from most standard scientific approaches. I incorporate thought into quantum activity, which describes the basis for the foundation of universal evolutionary development and activity. There has been an emergence in the scientific community on including consciousness as a primary element with the functioning of matter and energy in the universe. Panpsychism is somewhat trending now and has been a topic of debate among the scientific community. With my work, I like to describe how thought and energy drives the evolutionary development of everything in the universe, and how we exist in the structure of a big mind. Thought is contained within energy everywhere, which serves as the primary component for conceptualization. Conceptualization generates energy and affects the distribution of matter, and this is the foundation for evolutionary development everywhere. This activity is exemplified on Earth as the primary basis for the advancement and sustainability of the human race and life on Earth. This all started with the introduction of this universe. Before this universe was here, there was consciousness in the form of thought and light and dark energy everywhere. This consciousness and energy has always existed, and this is where infinity in the consciousness comes from. There was no matter within the dynamics of thought and energy before the introduction of this universe, only frequency, vibrations, and energy. Thought is represented by frequency, vibrations, and energy because this is how energy experiences evolutionary development. Thought in the form of higher frequency vibrations represents light energy, and thought in the form of lower frequency vibrations produce dark energy. I need to introduce another element of consciousness and existence into this description of evolutionary cosmological functioning. This element is love. Love is a lot more than an emotional response generated between life on Earth. Love gives eternity a reason to exist and is the most powerful and important form of energy in existence. Before this universe was here, thought and light energy represented a very powerful and eternal love. Thought and dark energy represented a very powerful form of the sustainability of love. Dark energy represented the foundation for the continued generation of this energy, and love was incorporated into dark energy somewhat as a sensation of empowerment in the dynamics of thought. Also see 30 signs that you are wired differently than normal people. This larger body of consciousness and energy wanted to introduce another form of consciousness and energy inside of what had already existed for the purpose of experiencing love in a much more powerful way. This is why reproduction exists in Earth's environment. It is a continuation of the activity of the introduction of this universe. What happened was this larger body of consciousness and energy combined the two frequency vibrations together with light and dark energy with the existence of infinity and the energy of love. This is how the Higgs boson was introduced into existence. The Higgs boson has been described as the fundamental particle. Think about what the most important element of thought is here on Earth, which drives the evolution of the human race. This element is love. There is a reason that there is resistance in the scientific community with the introduction of consciousness into matter and energy and the element of the energy of love, and this has to do with its location in time and space. I will explain why this takes place further down the article. The Higgs boson is a very powerful combination of the consciousness and energy which introduced this universe and the identity of the universe. Human beings have a particular form of thought and energy that represents their identity in time and space. They experience life and evolutionary development as a result of this identity existing. On a molecular level, you could equate this to DNA. The Higgs boson is an excitation of the Higgs field, and both needed to be introduced with the universe to serve as the foundation for evolutionary development in the universe. The vibrational frequencies in the form of thought that introduced the Higgs boson make up the Higgs field. The Higgs field is a field of energy that permeates throughout the entire universe and maintains a powerful connectivity through frequency vibrations with this larger body of consciousness and energy that the universe is contained within. The Higgs field is like the identity of this universe, which was formed out of this larger structure of consciousness and energy, with the foundation being extremely powerful love. This information is going to be somewhat difficult for the scientific community to absorb because their primary focus is on matter and energy, and there is a powerful level of resistance due to evolutionary activity in this area. When the Higgs boson was introduced into existence, this was the beginning of this universe's life. The Higgs boson represented the introduction of life in the form of matter, and what followed was life itself experiencing a new development of evolution. The universe had to take on an independent role within this larger body of consciousness and energy. An independent role meaning a life of its own and an expression in time and space which would be unique to what had previously existed throughout infinity. A very powerful event took place with the introduction of the universe, and a very powerful perception of separation occurred with the introduction of the universe, and this is how chaos was introduced into existence. After the Higgs boson was introduced, this changed the level of frequency vibrations and a new form of conceptualization took place. Because matter was introduced and a new form of consciousness and energy were being introduced, the frequency vibrations in the form of thought began converging as evolutionary development moved forward. More subatomic activity was introduced into the formation of the universe. The subatomic activity came from the conceptualization and convergence that the frequencies were experiencing. This was generating more energy, which was generating matter in the form of different subatomic particles. Also see, star seeds and our human origins. There was evolutionary activity and development being experienced in the formation and resistance. The resistance came from the uncertainty of change that this consciousness and energy was experiencing. The uncertainty of change came from the introduction of a new stage of independence in this formation of thought, energy, and the introduction of matter. This new formation began experiencing a very powerful perception in a separation from the source of consciousness and energy, which was providing the introduction that had always existed. The resistance came from a sensation of experiencing a separation from infinity. This is why human beings can conceptualize existing forever and experiencing a state of non-existence. This was affecting an aspect of the independent evolutionary activity. More and more Higgs bosons were being introduced into the formation, and so were the frequency vibrations of the source that was introducing this universe. This was providing the love that was necessary to facilitate the foundation for the continued evolutionary development in the universe. There were different degrees of evolutionary force, neutrality, and resistance with the introductory process, where thought and energy are concerned. There was an aspect of thought and energy in this formation that was experiencing a very powerful level of resistance, that came from not wanting to become separated from the source that was introducing the universe. This resistance transferred into matter, and antimatter became introduced into the formation. What also became introduced into the formation was pressure. The pressure began accumulating from the convergence of the frequency vibrations of light and dark energy. With certain degrees of evolutionary force and resistance, when the frequency vibrations of light and dark energy converge together, this generates polarity, which causes pressure to accumulate. A lot of the pressure in the formation came from a different type of evolutionary development being introduced into time and space with the integration of light and dark energy into matter. Pressure also came from the resistance to evolutionary development and transferred mostly into dark energy. Pressure transfers into dark energy easier because there is more dark energy in existence, and the frequency vibrations are lower. The introduction of time for this new development transferred into the formation as well. Time is incorporated into energy with a positive, neutral, and negative charge. This is so thought, matter, and energy can respond to evolutionary activity appropriately. A negative charge is the result of past evolutionary activity, a neutral charge is represented by present evolutionary development, and a positive charge is experienced as an evolutionary force or momentum into the future. This is so matter and energy can respond to different states of evolution in existence. The introduction of the Higgs boson and then other subatomic activity with evolution was the introduction of life in the universe. The formation of the beginning of the universe also had to go through a specific change with the event that took place with the fusion that occurred with the Big Bang. What was contained in the formation was a very powerful mixture of the frequency vibrations, subatomic activity in the form of matter, antimatter and pressure. This had to happen so all of this activity could be concentrated together very quickly through fusion and introduced into time and space as another body of consciousness and energy inside of this larger body which represented the continuation of life. When evolutionary force and conceptualization reached a maximum potential and the resistance level dropped significantly, the pressure was released and matter and antimatter along with the frequency vibrations of light and dark energy fused together and an explosion occurred. This is how the Big Bang happened. The Higgs field formed in the universe as the primary identity of the universe, and the most powerful connectivity with the source which introduced the universe. The Higgs field at the most powerful quantum level contains love. Love is vibrational frequencies, energy and matter experiencing evolutionary development at the most powerful level, and this energy gives eternity a reason to exist. It is the fundamental energy which supplies the life source to everything in existence. There are different degrees of how love is experienced because of different concentrations of light energy, dark energy, pressure and resistance. The Higgs field and Higgs bosons contain the most powerful concentration of love and thought in the form of frequency vibrations from the source that introduced this universe and the identity of the universe. What transferred into the activity of the universe which we know of today is what occurred on different levels with the development of the early formation of the universe before the actual introduction took place with the Big Bang. There is the most powerful source of love that can be experienced in creation, then there are different levels of how thought responds to evolutionary development through time and space. When the Big Bang happened, this consciousness in the formation lost awareness for a moment right before the introduction. This moment represents death. This is how death was introduced into existence. Death represents a change in the evolutionary state of life. Earth is located in a region of time and space that is 13.51 billion years old. The thought and energy represented in this location is extremely powerful and contains memory of early formation and introduction. Earth is located fairly close to the origin of the Big Bang. This is why life and death are so powerful here in this environment. In the universe there is a lot of different subatomic activity. The Higgs field and Higgs bosons represent the identity of the universe and other subatomic activity represents the universe experiencing life and evolution as an independent structure within this larger body of consciousness and energy. Photons carry and distribute light energy and are the result of the evolutionary development of light energy into matter, because matter requires light energy. Other subatomic particles have corresponding fields of energy associated with their existence. This is different levels of evolutionary activity and development taking place in time and space. Subatomic particles contain different concentrations of light energy, dark energy and pressure, according to what type of vibrational frequencies they generate out of and what their role is in the scope of evolutionary activity and development. You contain love within your consciousness and there is a specific source of vibration and energy associated with the love contained within you. The rest of your being experiences life and evolutionary development through time and space in different degrees. This is similar to what is happening in the universe. Also see, we passed the precession of the equinox and have entered the photon belt. The Higgs field absorbs frequency vibrations and energy from the source that introduced the universe, that the universe is contained within. The universe then experiences life and evolutionary development and thought in the form of frequency vibrations which conceptualize for the purpose of evolutionary development. This is how other subatomic particles are generated in time and space. Because there are different variables of time and space everywhere in the universe, the frequency vibrations produce different types of subatomic particles. Everything evolves out of the frequency vibrations contained in the Higgs field, but different subatomic particles and fields of energy are necessary so love can be manifested differently from thought into conceptualization, which generates more subatomic activity, which produces more matter. Love is responsible for creation, but creation is represented by different concentrations of light and dark energy. Like I stated before, that love and dark energy represents a sensation of empowerment. Love and light energy represents a sensation of peace. There are a lot of different degrees of how love can be experienced with thought and the production of matter through evolutionary development. There is also neutrality, which is associated with experiencing existence exactly how it is supposed to be in the moment. This is how different fields of energy are represented by different subatomic particles in existence. Antimatter was the result of the resistance that this universe experienced within the formation and what transferred into the activity of the Big Bang. The reason this universe does not contain antimatter is because antimatter was just the result of the resistance that was being experienced with the evolution of the universe. When the universe was introduced, the life and the evolutionary development of the universe began. When antimatter is generated with particle accelerators, it is because Earth is located fairly close to the origin of the Big Bang, and Earth and life on Earth represent evolutionary activity that is very closely associated with the Big Bang. Subatomic particles are quantum representations of thought and different concentrations of light energy, dark energy and pressure being generated in the universe, which serve as the building blocks for the production of matter. The Higgs field is incorporated into planet Earth, but human beings do not experience the transfer of energy back and forth with the Higgs field in that powerful of a way. There are two primary reasons that this does not occur, and this has to do with a very powerful form of resistance. The first reason is human beings don't understand what happens with the experience of death. This produces a very powerful form of resistance in the consciousness, and the Higgs field is the foundation for the evolutionary development of thought, energy and the way that energy behaves with matter. The other reason is because human beings do not understand the true nature of their own existence in the environment. This is slowly materializing now, and human consciousness is beginning to adapt itself further into the Higgs field, and the Higgs field is becoming more powerful and more concentrated in the environment. This is why so many exoplanets have been discovered and why certain observations were made in reference to activity with black holes. The reason that most scientists will resist the proposal of consciousness or thought being introduced into matter and energy is because of what happened with early universal formation and introduction. When the early formation of the universe was happening, thought was being integrated from the introductory source into matter and the way that matter behaves with energy. There was a very powerful level of resistance associated with this activity. Earth is fairly close to where the origin of the Big Bang took place, and this evolutionary activity has evolved into Earth's environment, because Earth represents the introduction of life into this region of the universe, so that activity that took place over 13.8 billion years ago could be repeated with a planet representing a reintroduction of evolution itself. Scientists will resist the proposal of the introduction of consciousness into matter and energy because the early formation of the universe and introduction itself evolved into planet Earth and life on Earth through the acceleration and expansion of time and space. Love is also evolving in Earth's environment through the activity contained within life on Earth, and this is generating a more powerful concentration of energy from the Higgs field.